Hey everybody, welcome to Positive Conversations once again with David and Donna. I'm David,
And I'm Donna.
and today we are once again recording from both of us from our homes over Skype, self quarantine still,
hmm
and it's a little chaotic. I was telling Donna before we started recording, there's a bit of a charm to it though, huh? Because
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people are doing that, like talk show hosts and everything, and all YouTubers. Everyone's from home, their families are there. There's noise in the background. I have my little pupper sitting in my lap right now, cute little Goral. Because she'd actually make more
Oh,
noise if I
how old
left
is Miss Lou?
her. Miss Lou's 10. She just turned 10.
Oh,
Getting older, yeah. Cute Goral. Um, she was sick for a couple weeks, but she's get so we actually had to go like to the vet in the middle of the quarantine, and like we got
oh,
there, and we they told us like there was a sign that's like call when you're here, so we called them and they came out like in the mask and gloves and got the dog from our car, and like we couldn't go inside and we just like waited in the car for them to bring her back out and stuff.
yeah,
So that was,
that's so hard.
yeah, strange experiences, all these little things.
Mm.
But yeah, she would be
Oh,
she likes
yeah.
attention. She likes attention. So um, if I just put her like on the couch, she'd actually make more noise. So she makes less noise being next to the mic. My other dog is here. He might be barking. He's in the other room though. There might be noise in the background, but
hmm
we're all just doing our best. Because usually we record together in person in your office where you don't have dogs. You have a cute little hamster, but he doesn't. A guinea pig. It's a guinea pig.
Guinea pig,
Yeah,
yes.
guinea pig.
Well, I do have squealing children in the other room occasionally, so
Yeah.
I do have that, but today that's not going to be an issue, so
Mostly
we're
it's a
okay for now.
problem when Amelia has Jason over. That's when it's
That
ever been
is,
a problem.
you are correct.
Uh-huh.
So right
So
now,
yeah.
actually, she's visiting him at his house. They're doing the social quarantine driveway visit.
Yep.
So
I've
Casey
heard
told me
of
you
all
did that
those.
recently, yeah?
Yeah, that's what we do. Social quarantine, driveway visits, um,
Right.
sitting. 'Cause we're all. I'm personally trying to be very careful about it. Especially
Mm-hmm.
because people in my family, my parents still go to work, and my mom actually works in the same building of a healthcare center. That is a testing facility
Mm-hmm.
uh for the disease. So
Yeah.
gotta be careful. My sister has not been careful. It's kind of annoying. Uh
What
so
does she do that's not careful? What do you mean?
oh, she just likes to go over to her boyfriend's house, and she she'll hang out she'll go over to a friend's house, and it's like, bruh. But I mean, whatever. Because she's spreading it between herself and like her friends that she sees. So I'm just doing my part to try to be careful. So I'll go over to Casey's, do the little driveway visit. I got to see Andrew actually, which is, as you can imagine, a very difficult thing
Oh yeah.
because all right, so for those who don't know, my friend Andrew, a good friend of mine, and he was in theater with me, a student of Donna's as well for a couple of years. He was in your speech class as well, wasn't he?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. So
I taught
he,
him 2 years.
yeah, and unfortunately, right before all this started, he was diagnosed with a bone cancer, and so he's undergoing chemo treatments in the middle of a pandemic, which has been
Mm.
real hard on him and everything. But he's actually, we should get him on the show one day because he's being extremely
Oh, we
positive.
really should.
He's being
Yeah.
very, very positive through it, even though it's hard on everybody. And of course, it would have been difficult to go visit him, but at least like during his chemo treatments, I could have gone with him. Like I could have gone, like while he was at the hospital, I could have visited him. I could have
Right.
visited him. It would have been cautious, but people were allowed in the room. Now he has to go, and like his mom can't even like go in with him, and so he's just kind of
Right.
alone. So it really sucks, but he'll go for a couple of days, and then he'll be home for a couple of days, and during that time that he was home, I I had boiled some crawfish, and he really wanted some. So I got in my car with like,
Okay.
gloves and mask.
I'm having trouble making, so while he was at home, you were able to go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So also that's another thing for the audience. You might
Um,
be you should be able to hear me fine, audience. I hope, but we're over Skype, and it might be a little laggy, so it sounds like I'm lagging a little bit for Donna. Um, but yeah, so I was able to. He was home. Did you get that?
I got bits and pieces, so I just was trying to figure out, like, when you went to Andrews, you like did the driveway visit there or what?
Yeah, yeah. I did the driveway visit there. I boiled crawfish, and so I brought him some, like in a bag
Mm-hmm.
that his family like disinfected right before they let him like go
Yeah.
at it, and they peeled all the crawfish for him and everything, and like, and so we had a little driveway visit, window up, everything. He walked out. He's looking a lot better. Um,
Good.
so all the swelling in his arm, he had that big bump. His arm had swollen to like twice the size of what it is usually. So that's all gone down, and he's just being very positive. He had to shave his head, of course, chemo. So he went ahead and shaved his head, and he's being very funny about that. Every time he trims it, because it grows back a little bit, so every time he clean shaves it, he sends us a picture and says, "Hey guys, just got a haircut." So just some positive conversations, making jokes in difficult situations is important, of course.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it kind of makes some of what I'm going to talk about seem so trivial, but I feel like everybody's situation is different, and I don't want to
Yeah,
trivialize anything, but
yeah, I
it certainly
100%
gives a
agree.
different perspective.
I totally get what you're saying. Like, it makes me, in a way, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, but like, it makes me never want to complain about anything ever again because my friend has cancer, But that's not how things
Right.
are. Everyone's situation is different, and you know, just
Hmm.
because somebody is suffering worse somewhere doesn't mean that all of your problems get to go away. And that's the thing I try to tell people, and I want the audience to understand that um, no matter what's happening in the world, it's your whatever problems you're having, even if somebody's having it worse, like your problems are still valid. Someone I could be like, oh, I'm hungry, and they're like, oh, children are starving, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm still gonna get lunch, so you know, um,
Good point.
so it's okay to, and so I don't want you to feel that way, Donna, to feel like your problems are trivial, because
Oh, no, 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 no. What I was saying is, it makes me feel like my problems are trivial, but I don't want to downplay how I'm feeling, because I know that how I'm feeling is how a lot of other people are feeling. It's just something
yeah,
about the 4 week mark. It hits hard, and
mm-hmm.
that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah,
So
yeah, please do.
I might launch in. I'm going to back up a bit and just say that one of the things that I have personally been doing is joining a group on Zoom, and we read scripts aloud. And it's organized by one of my former students who has done the most theater of any theater student I've ever had, gone on and done pretty big stuff. And he's actually now a theater teacher. So that has been a really nice kind of place marker in my week, because last Thursday when I came in here to read with my group, I told Amelia, my daughter, I was coming in to read. And I said, I'm Thursday again. I'm going to go read my play. And she said, you didn't do that last Thursday. I'm like, yes, I did. So she, like, time means nothing. You don't know what day of the week it is. And it just blew her
Mm-hmm.
mind that it had already been a week.
Yeah.
But that was so cool. And so because of that, since I am a theater teacher, I've been contacting some of my students saying, hey, I want to find a script and just read together. And we did that last night. And we picked a fun little silly mystery. And that's cool because we're trying to write a mystery right now for next year. And
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, we all just launched into our big conversation like we will, because we don't ever get to see each other anymore. And a large
Mm-hmm.
part of being in my class is just talking and sharing your thoughts about whatever. And Casey was in the group, and one of the things she was talking about was just different time periods and how other people have gone through similar things and whatever. And it's just so true. We kind of get mired in this is so terrible because it's us, but history has proven out that people have to go through this kind of stuff periodically. I mean, the plagues and the different other pandemics that have occurred in the history of our world, we just
Mm-hmm.
never thought it would affect us like this has. I mean,
Came
honestly,
out of
it,
nowhere.
it is unlike anything. It did. Well, it did and it didn't,
Yeah.
because all these other almost pandemics that never got to us, the Ebola and the swine flu and the bird flu and all the
Mm-hmm.
other ones, whatever they all were, they were bad, but they never got to us. And so we thought it couldn't happen to us. And so, when it did, it hit with a wallop. And this is, a bigger one across the world than any of those other ones I named. I mean, they were all bad, but they were not ever as widespread as this. And
Yeah.
so one of the things I said in the meeting last night is, yeah, other people have been through it and it's good to know that they have, but it doesn't lessen the fact that this is really difficult for us. And I was not trying to say that to go against any point anybody made, because
Mm-hmm.
people were making really good points left and right. But one of the things I kind of kept coming back to was, you know, as much of a positive person as I strive to be, and as much of a optimist and always looking for the good in every situation, I have just honestly hit some lows. I mean, just specifically this morning, my husband, who was working from home, could tell that I just had cabin fever in a huge way. He's like, let's go take a drive. And so we just went out driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have felt depression in my life very seldom. I come from a family where a lot of people that I'm very close to get really like bad suicidal depression at times, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never really had it. So I can't say that I was depressed. But the word sad, I mean, I just literally just was sitting there in the car as we were driving, and just waves of sadness were just slamming me. And when I feel any kind of way, I do, look at it, and I'm thinking, what is making me so sad? And I think for so many of us, it's just the loss of the normal. I mean, as a teacher, I have already mourned, but continue to mourn the fact that now for sure I'm not going back to school to see these kids that I love. And the end of my school year is always so vital to me every school year, because I know this is my 31st year as a teacher. I know there will be a separation, and I want to prepare myself for it as much as my students. And to be wrenched apart like we were has really hit me so hard. And then just the loss of the something to do, like to let me get up and go to school and have a purpose thing. I mean, I have summers, but I know that it's a 10-week thing, and I'm glad to have that break, but I know that I'm going to go back to school. And so this is just a completely different thing. And so there are waves of emotion coming over me because I miss my students, because I didn't get to have the end of the year I wanted, because the seniors didn't get the end of the year stuff that they wanted, that they've looked forward to all their lives. It just hits. And it's not just related to my job. I mean, it's just I love my home, and I love the yard and the neighborhood I'm in, and I don't have anything to complain about. I'm comfortable. I have plenty of food. I can watch TV. I can be creative. I can whatever. And I want to, stay creative, which is, of course, our other podcast. But I mean, when I tell you, there are days I get up and I go plop myself in front of my TV and I watch TV all day. And I mean, I do not do that. I don't watch TV on a regular basis at all when I'm busy in
Mm-hmm.
school. And I just don't watch TV. So for me to do that is a complete change of how I'm reacting to things. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. It's just that I can't seem to find, like, there's a novel I wrote. I've been reading through it. I've been looking up stuff about how to edit and improve a manuscript. But there are days I can't even make myself get in front of my computer. I just don't have the motivation. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
staying positive means that you you have to just take the days as they come and not beat yourself up because you don't have motivation, but find something to change it up. Because I'm telling you, talking to my students last night, there were 10 of them on Zoom, and it just completely made my day. It just changed everything. That was my marker in that day.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me something to not just, mope around. And I don't have a reason to be sad, but I mean, I guess I do, but you know what I mean. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm standing. So how has it been affecting you lately?
Well, that points out something that I noticed that I've noticed is that, like, the smaller things in your day are what starts making your day, like a Zoom meeting or whatever, and or makes your week, and you start to grab onto those things that uh you might not appreciate as much usually. That's just me personally, I've noticed. But so that's all really good. Um well, I'm sorry, what did you ask me what I've been doing? Donna, can you hear me?
I'm here, so it's breaking up so much I just couldn't tell when you stopped. I heard most of what you said,
Oh, okay.
but can you give some examples of some of the small things that you grab onto?
Oh, small things I grab onto. To kind of get through all this stuff. Uh, I really enjoy what I've been doing is like every few days. I've rarely left the house. I only did to like for what we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I do take drives. I get in my car and I'm not exposing to anybody. Just to drive around and sort of see how things are and sometimes it's just to get out. Um, and driving's nice. It's relaxing to me and stuff like that. I've spent a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time with my dogs, which is
Yeah.
and my way more time with my family than I've spent. And like me and my family are close, but like this is still just a significant amount of more time. My
Oh
mom has
yeah.
put together like 10 puzzles since this started.
Uh-huh.
Even though she works, but when she gets home, she doesn't really go anywhere. So um, that's been small things to sort of like hang on to and do a lot of just playing fetch with socks and it not being a big deal because usually it's like, oh, I gotta go to work. I don't want to take the 30 minutes out of my day to go on a walk with socks, my one of my puppers, because I that's 30 minutes I could spend doing something else where now I don't have to necessarily worry about that and I get to really enjoy that and um staying away from people. I love staying away from people. It's really nice. This is so horrible. It's really nice to be on a walk and like pass somebody and not have to like stop and say hello. But
Okay.
because I can like, oh hey, social distancing. When usually it's like the kind of like oh hey, gotta go up and like the dogs gotta like play with each other and I gotta be like, hey, how you doing? I shake their hand. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm Steve, and like it's like yeah, and then we keep going, and I'm like, nope, I could just to enjoy my walk and my day. Take that alone time, but then at the same time, you do start missing those sort of things, and those are things that you take for granted. um, so I've noticed that. Um, what a what?
I just said okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's just how I feel. I've been spending a lot of time trying new TV shows and forms things of entertainment, and not to say like oh try to like spend my time on the couch, but I'm using it as a positive, as in like let's expand my horizons a bit of media that I see and consume because I think that helps with creativity. It just the more you know, the better. You know what I mean? Like the more things that you see, the better your own work's gonna be because it's just more informed by more things. So I've been expanding that. I've actually been talking a lot with my friends, probably
Mm-hmm.
more than I usually do, because we're just getting on Skype or over the phone and talking a lot. Both of us having a lot of time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's been going on with me.
Well, I've noticed similar to what you said about, being glad to kind of the pressure off of not having to engage in social, you know,
Mm-hmm.
discussion when you don't really feel like it. But the other side of that, though, is that when you do see another human being, no matter where it is, it's kind of like, hey, how you
Yeah.
doing? Just general people are kinder. It's like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
so glad to be around other humans. And I was actually shopping Saturday, no, it was Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning. We went grocery shopping as soon as the grocery stores opened because that's one of the lowest, that fewer people go when the stores open, according to what I've seen anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of in the store, and there were a few kind of awkward, kind of everybody standing around the same spot and somebody backing up so I could pass and then they could, the things people do to get social distance. But
Mm-hmm.
we were talking to our cashier just kind of about how weird it just doesn't feel like Easter at all. And then my husband was moving the buggy to where they collect the buggies in the parking lot, and I was just sitting
Mm-hmm.
in the pilot, and this lady was walking up to work, and it's that awkward, should I say hey kind of thing normally. But again, it was like, hey, here's another human being. And we were like, hey, how are you? Happy Easter. Happy you too. And I said, it sure doesn't feel like Easter. And we talked briefly. And I said, I guess there's just not a whole lot we can do about it, but we can be kind to each other. And she said, yes, we can. And it was just very meaningful. It was one of those almost hug kind of moments with a person I don't know at all, but it was meaningful because we both so totally shared the complete sentiment, and it didn't take that many words to get it across. And we both could tell the other one really meant it, and it was just very sincere. And it makes, when you do have the social interaction, even if it's normally awkward, a little bit more human, more personable, more kind. I've noticed that a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah, I have. We have neighbors, and the truth is, my family, now me personally, I've done my best. My family has not always done their best to be social distancing during this time. For example, they have neighbors come over, like go in the backyard and like talk and hang out. Like it's just a family. Like it's one of them and they've been isolated. So they try to think of it as a big deal. But anyway, with that out the way, they've gotten my parents and them, they've gotten pretty close and they've really grown this like camaraderie, one of them said, throughout it all. And I do notice that, and I do think that kind of thing is nice. It's almost this sort of similar thing to where during the flood, the Great Flood of 2016, um, here in South Louisiana, there was this big like everybody all of a sudden was nicer to everybody, and um, it felt like people were always trying to do things that they could for each other, and I've seen some of that, not as much as that. I've seen a good bit of that though, of this feeling of like, look at us, all humans, all going through the same thing and just trying to get through it. But at the same time, I have seen some like just like horrible like things that people do, and not personally, but I've seen it on the internet a lot of like just reports of people going into stores and like fighting over the last gallon of milk and crap like that, and
I agree.
and that sort of thing really sucks to bring us apart. But then that's why it's so many great programs that exist that are just trying to help people, and it's really nice when you can tell. I really love reading something in the news and it's like a person's doing this, and of course my cynical mind is always like, so why are they doing that? What are they getting out of it? I question everything. I'm like, why would this person who's a millionaire do this thing that is nice? I wonder how he's going to use that to his own advantage. You know what I mean? And there's a couple times where I'm reading that and going like, oh, he's just doing a nice thing. Oh,
nice to see.
nice. Yeah. Wow. There's no confusion, no drama behind it. Just doing a nice thing, like what's going on with I think right now, like the school board is like bringing food to students who need it.
Yep.
Right, and like it's like they're not getting anything out. It's just a thing they can do for the people. And that's always really nice to see, and that always exists, but it's nice to see it highlighted, and even in the darker times, those are the bright sides you can look to, and the things that can make you smile throughout the day.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I did want to make something or say something about something that you seem to be very concerned about, which is how much social distancing people are doing. And, they say no more than 10 in a group, and it doesn't sound to me like anybody's having any crazy parties, which some people still are doing. But I mean, it's just, I think, a matter of limiting your circle. So you could get into the whole, like my husband goes to work Tuesday and Thursday, and there's hardly anybody there. They all work in cubicles. They hardly ever come anywhere near 6 feet to each other. But they do still breathe the same air technically on the same floor, even though they're very spread out. But anyway, he goes to work and comes home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sam was going to work at a restaurant where they were putting together all those bags like you were talking about to deliver to people. There are people all over the city or wherever, everywhere, working to get all that together, and they have to be in proximity, but they're wearing masks and whatever. But like my son right now, Sam, is over at our friend's house, and it's four of them. Usually it's four of them, or three or four. Tracy's living in an apartment right now, but they don't really go that far. You know, it's just all about who you're exposing each other to. And so if you have kind of like your circle, and you really only see your circle, and you take, you know, the precautions of washing your hands, and, you know, if you feel like you might have been in a place where there is a higher danger, just maybe staying away from or changing your clothes, or, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that we have to just all live in our own orbit, but I keep seeing, and this is another thing my students last night are so upset about. Apparently, there are still people having big old parties and, oh, give me the corona, I don't care. And that to me is a huge issue, and it will continue. It'll make us stay on this quarantine longer if that continues. But as far as having a small orbit and seeing your neighbor pretty much every day so much that they are part of the family or whatever, I just think that that's just basic human survival. You know, if they said don't come out of your house, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but I mean, people have to have food. And at this point, you know, everything seems to have been handled. You know, I have to honestly say, like I already stated, I don't have any issues. I didn't lose my salary, neither did my husband. And I do feel very horrible for the number of people who must be just panicking beyond words that their business is closed. They don't have any income coming in. I mean, it's a horrible place to be. So I don't have any of those worries at all. And yet I'm still feeling the waves of sadness for the reasons I stated. So I think we just all have to be aware of each other, and everybody's situation is different, and do whatever we can, whatever that is, whether it's donating time in some way or donating money to the different people who are out there, you know, feeding other people, or whatever services they're providing. You know, there are things we can do, but the difference with the flood is that we can't personally go over and help somebody unload their house or put their sheetrock back. We just can't do that. We can't be around each other. So it's a hard thing to kind of tease out, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is. But everyone, except for the people who still go to giant parties and go on vacation, but everyone other than that seems to just be doing the best they can, whatever that may
Exactly.
be. And that's always really great whenever
Hmm.
people just do the best that they can. And just to give it a bright side, you know, and I think we can wrap up with this. It's about 30 minutes. Well, it's at 27. Um,
No, I agree. I was getting ready to
yeah,
wrap
yeah,
up.
yeah. Um, Something I just want to say, and just to keep it in perspective, things are bad, but you know, always be cautious of what you hear and what you are being told and the sort of fear that can be spread. And I'm not saying this is okay because you know there's exponential growth, and one person touches five people, and those five people touch other five people, and it grows large. But right now, currently, relatively speaking, it's not it's a large majority of people are still unaffected, and
Right.
I think it's just nice to keep that. I'm not saying we should take it less seriously. I am 100% in the support of taking it very seriously, but at the same time keeping the positives in mind of we're only taking it this seriously so that it doesn't really
Get
get
worse.
worse, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at
Right.
it like how many people in Louisiana have it now? Was it like 7,000 or something like that?
I don't listen to the numbers at all.
I think it was somewhere in the thousands, and it's like wow, that's so bad. But then you realize that you know hundreds of thousands of people live in Louisiana, and
Right.
all over the country. You know, and countrywide, it's probably like 1% or less people actually have
Hmm.
this. It can
Yeah.
spread quickly, and that's the problem, and that's the fear.
Yes.
But and definitely take it as seriously as we're all taking it. It definitely should be, but while keeping in the perspective of things are going to be okay, and things have not. It's not the end of the world. We're
Correct.
not at an apocalypse level. Walking Dead, got to start killing each other and scavenging for supplies level yet. And the only way would get there is if we let ourselves be afraid. That's
Yes.
what spreads worse is the fear. And so just keep those kind of things, those positive things in your mind, and realize that it's
Yes.
all going to be fine.
I totally totally agree.
Yeah. But if you are personally affected by it, or a loved one you know has been affected, or gotten corona, or even passed away from corona, I am very, very, very sorry for that. I truly am.
Me too.
Like I said, one of my best friends in the world is very, very vulnerable to it. So I
Hmm.
totally understand the personal effect that this could possibly have on somebody. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
I mean, it could hit any of us anytime too.
yeah.
That's the other side. But just, I really, like I've said before, you just have to look at how you react to things, which is basically a summary of what you just said.
Hmm.
It's all about you personally have to choose how you're going to react, and that helps
Yeah.
you a lot if you can find the positive way to react.
If you can find the positive way, and that keeps you in a clear head state of mind to then make the best decisions for you and your
I agree.
family. Whether that
Yes.
be, am I going to go to the store and buy 10 gallons of milk that are all going to go bad in
Hmm.
in 2 weeks, and I'm not going to drink all of it? Milk is an essential kitchen thing, but I don't really get that because I don't drink that. Anyway, that's a completely off the topic. But
Yes, it is.
yeah, but yeah. So, uh, any other thoughts, Donna, before we
No,
tell them
I don't think
our
so. I feel like
catchphrase?
it's Yeah, I feel like it's time to wrap up. So I guess I'll
Right.
go ahead and do that. And I will
Yeah.
say thank you to everyone for listening. And if you have any tips or anything that you want to share about how you've gotten through some of your tough times, or just any positive thoughts you'd like to share with other people to help us get through everything that we're facing, we appreciate all your comments, and like and subscribe so we can keep bringing this to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate your listening. So this has been Donna.
And David.
Stay positive.